Today we're going to be working on a 2008 Ford Escape with a common problem of a rusted out right rear shock tower. Both sides can rust out, but it's much more likely that the passenger side will go. We've had 5 of these cars. So far we've replaced 3 of the passenger side ones, and we have had 1 driver's side one fail, but that was right before a car was scrapped out, so we didn't replace it. This one here on the driver's side, you can see a little bit of scaly rust. And quite a bit of scaly rust actually, starting right down in here and here. But we're going to buff that off with a grinder a little bit, and then we're going to spray it down with rust reformer and oil to keep it from rusting anymore. We're not going to change that one right away. We're going to just stick to this side right here because the car's got a lot of miles on it. And honestly, this might last longer than the car does. That could last for several more years.
I do plan on getting a new car at the start of the new year.
Yes. So this is not a hybrid. We had to pull out the black low leveling platform that goes in there. That was 4 15mm bolts. Pulled out the side panels and the little rubber liners that cover over this.
Here, I want to show something. Those are the holes for it right there.
Oh, right here.
Yeah, for the bolts.
Yes.
I would not want to use an impact gun on that because I bet you those nuts on the back side of it, they're probably just spot welded. So if you use an impact, they'll probably snap from the age of it.
That's good advice. If you use the breaker bar or a ratchet wrench, you can go back and forth slowly and make sure you slowly work them out instead of ripping them out all at once.
Yeah.
And also we found out this special tool here. It's a little tiny pry and lifting tool. It's a trim tool, I think they call it.
Yep.
It's perfect for pulling wiring harnesses out. If you got the wiring harnesses like stuck into a hole, instead of grabbing it and pulling it or prying on it with a screwdriver, you get this out of here like that and just pop it right out like so, and it comes right out with no damage to anything. It's well worth investing in one of these tools.
Oh, I gotta show another thing I found out. So when you take the panel out, like the rubber gasket or like that lays on top of it, and you gotta get this thing down here to come up for another retainer, and then the plastic sheet comes off. There's a rubber layer that lays on top of this, and to get that out without ripping it, you gotta disconnect these guys, which is right there where it's pushed in. It's a push tie. You gotta push that in to pinch it out. Careful with them. Do not want to break these.
Once you've got the basic interior trim all removed, the next step is to remove the bottom bolt on the shock absorber. The bottom bolt on the shock absorber is a 15/16, and it has a brought it home. Alright, the bolt's out. That was pretty easy. Usually the lower shock bolts aren't that hard to get out. They make them heavy duty and kind of protected so they can be taken out without too much trouble, because the shock is a routine maintenance item. Now we've just got that hanging by a thread right there. So far we've cut out the rusty metal, the worst of it, and we've got our repair panel sitting in place. Now you can see this repair panel kind of matches the original size of the original body assembly, but since we're not cutting that totally out and we're not going to try and weld that into place, what we're going to do is we're going to cut it so it fits as snugly as possible up over the existing metal here. So it's going to have to cut, we had to cut the back side off about 4 inches off the back to get it away from this area, and we had to cut about 6 inches off on the front so that it's a nice tight fit up here where it needs to be. There's one of the pieces we cut off there that goes toward the front, and this is the little tail piece that goes toward the back. Cut those off, and now I've got a nice tight fit right up against the body like the original part, and down at the bottom the new part is following exactly along the welded seam where the original part was. And we're not going to weld it on this, at least right now. We might go back over with the spot welder later and do a little touch up on it, but we're going to use 1/4 bolts to bolt this to the existing wheel well arch in there, also through this panel here into the side panel of the body. And I've done this before 3 times now, and it's worked well each time. Moving right along, it took us about an hour and a half to trim this piece down here so it fits snug up against the sidewall of the vehicle. And we trimmed a little bit off the front leading edge here too, you can see, because it didn't need to go that far down because none of that's rotted. And then we drilled 1/4 holes right there, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, looks like 8 of them across here, and those all went into the original body panel of the car with lock washers and flat washers to make them nice and tight to grip good. And this thing's like solid now, very solid. You can't budge it, it's very tight. We're also going to now, just to be safe, we're going to fill in this rusty area down here with a piece of tin screwed in with self-tapping sheet metal screws. And then once that's done, we're going to get some L brackets that go from the good metal back in here over and up onto this here to make sure there's absolutely no flex at all in this when you hit a bump. And we'll put 2 of those in, one up here and one a little bit further back right here, bolted right to this solid floor frame, and that will secure everything nice and tight. Here's the original shock tower mount that rusted off. You can see from the factory they sealed the weld all around that with all of this wonderful rust-proof caulking, and it rusted out below the caulking and around the caulking, and their rust proofing was pretty much ineffectual. It rusts out from the inside, from the outside of the car inward. I think you've got, like, this is strong steel here, and this rust proofing on it works, but right down here the strong steel attaches to really thin sheet metal. So, you know, the sheet metal gave out way faster than this heavy gauge steel that they used for the actual shock mount. And it's just kind of sad they took all those precautions with all the caulk and rust proofing and finish on this metal, when in fact the rust happened at a weak point just a few inches away from where it needed to be. That's really pretty sad, honestly. But all the escapes are like this if you live in the northern climates, and there's no getting around it. If you don't have it rust proofed and keep up on it the whole time you own the car, it's going to happen. And we can see it's starting to happen. Usually if you have rusty wheel wells like this, it's a sign that things are starting to go south up underneath too. But with a little work you can fix this. You saw what we did. Let's look at this now though. Look at that, doesn't that look nice? Secured all the way around with 1/4 ton bolts and lock washers and nuts. Sealed at the bottom with epoxy and caulking. A little tin put in there to cover up a rust hole that was in the flat part of the trunk floor. All sealed up with epoxy. And a brand new Monroe shock absorber. We got a pair of those on Rock Auto for 60 bucks. We're going to go ahead and replace the shock absorber on this side too. But we see the rust isn't quite as bad here. There's some starting right there on the back side, but we're going to wait until that actually breaks before we fix it, because, you know, who knows? That could last a year or 4 or 5 years, and the car might be dead by then. It's got quite a few miles on it, and it's getting old. So we're going to fix what needed to be fixed today, and back on the road tomorrow. All in all, this took us, what, about 4 hours? 3 hours? 3 or 4 hours?
Started at around noon.
So we took a break.
We took a lunch break.
It's 5 o'clock now.
So about 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, I'd say 4 hours. We got this done in about 4 hours. I know the first one I did took me like about 7 hours, 6 or 7 hours. Once you get it down to, you know, how this goes and what you need to do, it goes a lot faster.
Yep. You
can do it yourself, but if you shop around, you might be able to find a body shop that would do one of these for probably $500 per side. You know, because if they buy the parts, you know, they're going to charge you probably about $500 per side to do it. If you can find someone who does, and we did have a guy who said he could do it for that price, or actually a little bit less than that. And we decided we'd go ahead and do it ourselves to make this video for all you to see. And the fact it's a long holiday weekend, we had plenty of time on our hands. I'll put a link to these parts in the description of the video. I think they run about between $70 and $100 a piece, or $175 to repair. And you can do it yourself, save some money, and get deeply personal involved with your car so you know how it's all put together. Well, thanks for watching. Have a great day, and bye for now.